emailing out after the webinar today, along with the copy, link to the webinar from this morning. So if you want to watch it one more time, you can. And then I'm also going to email out the PowerPoint from this morning so that you have that and you can share it with your staff and refer back to it when you're doing the exercise or the assignment today. So I want to introduce some people who are going to help today. We've got Aaron manning the controls here.
Good morning, everybody. If you guys have questions, please go ahead and type them in the chat box that's on the right-hand side of your screen. And if you notice, there's a little drop-down for who the message is to. If you can please change it, instead of it going to Della, send it to Della and Aaron, okay? It'll go over to the laptop where we're monitoring your guys' questions, all right? Thank you.
Okay. We have you on mute, so if you do have a microphone, you won't be able to ask questions. But as Aaron said, please put them in the chat box. We'll stop periodically when we get questions to answer those. Also in the room, we have Lucy and Sandra, your area managers, who are helping today to present the materials. And this is their first time on a webinar, so they're nervous and excited. So we're all sending them good energy to help them today. And then we have the district managers, Jackie and Mark are here, woohoo, and Christine and Dory's staff are here to help with support with questions that may come about as we're going through the webinar. We also have Audrey, who's been spearheading our Workflow Solutions webinar, joining us from Chicago. So welcome, Audrey. Send us some comments along the way if you have something to interject or add. We appreciate that. And we appreciate all of your hard work putting these documents together and guiding us through this process. So thank you very much. So I'm assuming you're all on. No one's had a problem. I don't think we've heard from anyone that they had a hard time getting on. So congratulations for that. This is the first of many webinars like this, so that we'll be conducting through this Workflow Solutions. As we, it's one thing to put some materials out and get them in your hands, but it's really important to go through them, talk about them, explain them, and then give you an opportunity to ask questions. Also, I want to comment about the handouts. This project is a work in progress. So we invite your feedback and your comments. So if there's anything you see in these documents that isn't clear or you think we haven't explained well enough for these documents and also for any of the information that we'll be rolling out via PolicyTech, we encourage you to communicate back to your area managers, your district managers, or directly to Audrey and me, and let us know feedback. Remember that feedback is a gift. We're all about sharing our information, what we know, our best practices, so that it helps everyone. So with that being said, this morning, kind of what to expect. This is probably a 30 to 45-minute webinar. We'll move through some of the materials pretty quickly. We have an assignment at the end that the area managers will go through when we get there. No need to take notes. Just watch the webinar, listen to what's being said. As I said, you will get a copy. You'll get a copy of the actual recorded webinar. You'll also get the PowerPoint, and you'll get the assignments. So you don't have to write out the assignments. Those will arrive in your inbox this afternoon. So this first webinar, as I said, is part one of a two-part webinar in calculating move-out charges. And again, we look forward to your feedback as we go through this. So if you remember, those of you who were at the district meeting back on April 28th, Audrey did a little exercise where we asked some questions and we handed out note cards. And one of the questions was, what is not clear about the work you do? And what we really heard most about charges, things that weren't clear. So it's difficult to apply or estimate charges consistently. You also noted that, and I'm sure this came from assistant managers and probably managers too, that they'd like to be trained on the move-out process steps in part of their growth and learning as moving up to a manager, something good to know. And then that maybe when we're communicating our charges, our residents maybe aren't that clear about what we're saying about the charges. And you know, another one was about the paint and carpet calculations, like how long does a resident need to live in those units to avoid charges and paint, and then how do we calculate those? And then another question that came up more than once was, do I wait for vendor invoices to arrive before I calculate charges? So after this webinar and through this process, what we want to be able to do or do better and do more consistently is making sure we're consistent with charges from resident to resident and property to property, so that when you move around within the portfolio, that you're doing the same thing basically, or you're using the same process to calculate those charges that you used on a prior community. And then improve capture of revenue appropriate charges. So not higher or lower than necessary. So out of this, we're hoping to gain more revenue that it helps improve our bottom line. And then we want to build confidence in ourselves so that when we communicate those charges to our residents, we're confident, and the resident feels that confidence when we're conveying that information, and they know that it's fair and consistent. And then kind of no more, you know, since I don't know what to charge, I'm just not going to charge anything and see if I can get by. And that's one thing we don't want to do. We want to go back to capturing the revenue for that property that is owed. And then remember, too, that as we go through this, the clarification of charges, this is just part of the overall larger move-out process. And we'll be rolling out more training of that, and you will get more information about move-out as those documents are loaded in PolicyTech. So as we mentioned today, step one, introducing the materials and the scenarios, the little homework assignments we're going to give to you. And then next Thursday morning at 9 o'clock will be part 2, where we're going to review the answers to the scenarios that you came up with, the actual charges, and then we'll have a discussion about what those are. So accounting, the district managers, the area managers will take all of that information that you're sending in. We'll look at it. We'll give you some feedback on what those charges were that you calculated. And this is really all about a learning process for actual looking at those scenarios and deciding what was appropriate. And then you'll have those to refer back to when you need to. I'm going to turn over to Lucy, where she's going to explain a little bit about PolicyTech and some of the changes we're making.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. So the forms and processes in PolicyTech, hopefully everybody knows how to get to PolicyTech. You log in with your username and then your password, your computer password. That's how you get to PolicyTech through ADP. So basically, I think everybody knows how to get to PolicyTech and get these forms. There's going to be a few updated and reformatted things in PolicyTech that you want to, they'll be going out actually in the next few days that will be uploaded. basically the only forms that won't be changed will be the paint and the carpet and vinyl calculators. Those will remain the same. So those are the only two things that you won't refer to. Well, they'll be in PolicyTech, but those two forms, if you have them saved on your desktop, those are fine to keep. Basically, we want you to be able to refer to PolicyTech when you're doing a move out and make sure that you're getting the most updated information. That if you have something saved on your desktop that refers to how to do a move out, you delete that once everything is up on PolicyTech. We always want to make sure we're using the latest approved documents in PolicyTech.
Can I jump in here, Lucy? I just want to add a comment. As we get feedback from you and as we continue to look at and work through these processes, there will be changes. So that's why it's really important not to print these documents, put them in a binder, and I know some of you have binders, you've shown them to me, or save them on the desktop, because we want to make sure you're always getting the latest, most up-to-date information. So if you can help us out with that, that would be great. So we're all using the same latest and greatest information.
Good morning, everyone. This is Sandra. As you can see on this next slide, you will find the list of documents you will be using for the whole webinar. I just want to go through them a little bit in detail. This includes the policy and procedure. It's the move-out inspections and charges process. You will also reference to the move-out 2015 charges internal reference. And then a couple of forms that we are going to touch base on today, which will be the move-out accounting charges checklist, the move-out paint calculator, and the move-out carpet calculator, which you guys are really familiar with already. I'm so excited to be able to provide this tool in which we have worked very hard to publish. So I really think that this is going to be a great tool to add to our company and something that you can always have out there to refer to in case you have any questions and we're not available. So I'm really excited we're finally rolling this out. And so I will continue with the next slide. Oh, sorry. Back up a little bit. So today my portion will be to briefly review the move-out inspections and charges process. I won't go into too much detail because you guys would probably already have the handout printed, but this is more to show where calculating the correct charges comes into the larger process with the move-out process as a whole. I will get started. Basically, the first section we're going to touch base on, if you have your handout ready, it's going to be the move-out inspection and charges procedures. There are pretty much 4 basic guidelines that we would want to follow. This would include whenever a notice is given, you definitely want to make sure these guidelines are followed. Number 1 would be, when possible, you will be able to do a pre-move-out inspection. This helps both us as landlords and as the asset managers to be able to provide and send accountability to our residents that what they're going to expect to get charged at move out. And also our residents can get more informed as to what we can expect from them, and in case that there's some improvements they can do within the next 2 weeks after the move out, we won't have to charge for those stuff. After that, the detailed move-out inspection should be done the same day that the resident turns in keys or the same day that the manager finds out the unit is vacant. This is very important so we can keep detailed documentation. After that, number 3 would be the make-ready inspection, which is conducted by maintenance and property manager. This inspection, we would definitely want the resident to sign off on. However, if they are not present, we want to take the proper documentation so that we can know the charges are going to be placed correctly. One of the things to remember in this section is that if the unit is vacant for a long period of time after being made ready, you definitely want to reach out to your district manager or your area manager to do, to your property manager or area manager to do a final inspection after the unit has been vacant for a long period of time, just to make sure there's no last minute somebody breaking in and mess up the whole apartment again. So that's pretty much what the process gives you of starting so that you can get the ball rolling for the whole move-out documentation. The next one would be the move-out make-ready inspection and charges. This is kind of like a 7-step process, which includes you being able to provide the resident with the proper charges as far as referencing to the move-out inspection. In this section, you will want to start with going physically to the apartment and basically writing down any detailed information that you may have with the apartment the way it was left. Also, you would want to create the make-ready work orders at this point. With this said, you want to make sure that you assemble the move-out packet, because this is something that as a management company, we want to make sure that we are getting the most effective cost of the items that we are charging our residents. This will help us in case we have to, reference back to our charges checklist, make sure that we are charging properly. Once you have the move-out checklist done on your addendum 12, you want to make sure that you send this to this whole paperwork to the accounting department. This brings up the next section, which is setting up the move-out calculator, which we already know about. And it's going to show you in detail in this handout the way you are going to set this packet together. I'm just going to do briefly touch base with the headlines here. But as we all know, we all have experience with the move-out calculator and the documentation needed to be able to provide a correct and concise information timely. What is referenced here is that within 5 days of the move-out, you want to finish assembling this packet. You want to scan and attach the packet to the residence file as well. And then you want to allow accounting several days to review the move-out. But for sure, within 30 days of the move-out, you want to send a letter out to the previous residents documenting the charges along with a copy of the move-out statement. Because payments are due within 14 days, and the letter will show them, where to make that payment if they don't want to be sent to collections. After that, there's 2 things that can happen. You can either have a balance due letter sent out or a refund due letter sent out. As you can see on the handout, there's the documentation you will need to provide your accounting department, whether depending on the situation, whether we are giving out a refund or we are charging a resident for any extra damages that were not covered by the deposit. Okay? Let me know if you have any questions in between too. We are open to some feedback. But I just want to make sure that you guys, don't get bored and, I read out the whole thing in detail. So I just touch base on it, but do reference to the handout. Next is Lucy.
So the next one, accounting move-out charges checklist. If you're looking at your checklist now, it's a lot longer now than what it was. So it seems that every time we review forms and things like that, instead of getting shorter, they get longer. But it actually helps us more, because if somebody doesn't know how to do move-out, if they look at this form, they'll know exactly what they'll have to do. There's a situation for every type of move-out that we have. Basically, it just explains it so much detail that there's no vague question that you can have on what am I going to charge this person because of the way the move-out happens. So I think we've actually improved this form very well. I really don't think, unless anybody else sees something else that we need to add to it, which sometimes happens, I pretty much think we've covered every situation that can happen on a move-out. So basically, I think the most important thing to remember here is that, like, if somebody's breaking the lease, we have to make sure that we are charging whatever's on the lease. So if it's one time the rent that we're charging, we have to make sure that we're looking at that last lease that they signed. That's the amount that we're charging. I think that's the biggest thing that our tenant receivables, when they're doing the move-out, find that we're making mistakes on, is that we're not charging what's on the lease, what the lease is saying. Other than that, I think that it's very self-explanatory when you're doing a move-out if you're using this checklist.
I just want to touch base a little bit. I don't think I referenced back into the purpose of why we are doing this. I think that we want to make sure we are delivering the most excellent customer service we can give to our residents. We definitely want to adhere to the policies and be as much cost effective and, you know, charge fairly and properly. That way they can have a, you know, retain a positive impression about the company in Nevada Hand. We want to make sure we are there for them since the first visit of the application through the final correspondence when the move-out refunds are given. And so what I'm going to touch base now next is going to be the move-out charges, which is an internal reference that we're going to have company-wide. This is not going to be disclosed to our residents or be anywhere in our lease yet. However, we do want to touch base on this whenever we are doing move-out charges so that we know what charges are the most accurate to charge and most fair. So I'm sure you guys will probably have that handout ready also. We just want to use this this worksheet in combination with the actual move-out charges checklist, which we'll add to the lease at one point. We could probably even add this during a recertification time or when we have a brand new move-in. We did remove it at one point, which was an addendum A, but we are definitely trying to bring it up again so that we can have our residents more accountable that this is the charges that they're going to be getting, and that way they know if they do cause the damage, then this is the charge they're going to be exactly paying. So just briefly, this list includes items, includes costs, includes the description of the item, as well as, you know, referencing on the second page where it talks about the paint calculator and the carpet calculator, which we'll touch more base on later on. Just briefly, I'm giving you an example for, let's just say, you know, somebody broke the dishwasher rack. So we're like, oh, you know, before it's like, well, I don't know, there's so many different types of appliances that we have here. So what we've done is we have made a pretty much like an average or like a common cost that we find out there with all of our communities, and we have placed it in this sheet so you can definitely reference back to it and feel confident that when there is a dishwasher rack that's damaged or broken or not working properly anymore, you can charge the $85 that it says right here. So it gives you more confidence, it gives you more of that control where you don't have to reach out to upper management before you complete this move out, so you can do it more in a timely manner, take it on your own. On the second page, it does talk about more things in detail like keys and remotes, you know, things that are not usually common in every property, but we have included them here because we feel that, you know, we are all unique in our own way, and we have different types of equipment in our communities that we definitely need to have that out there, such as also mobile maintenance services included in this chart, like trash removal, cleaning services, complete paint, partial paint, carpet deodorizing, cleaning of blinds, and all those scenarios that you may have whenever you have a move out and you are looking to complete the charges. And I definitely encourage all of the managers to use this like a Bible, because, you know, this is the reason why we work so hard to get it together and get it as accurate as we can. That way we don't have inconsistency among our move-out calculators. And, you know, teach this to your assistant managers as well, because it's a great tool that whenever I used to work with Lucy, you know, we were able to work together if she wasn't there. So it's something good to know. On the last page of this handout, it's going to be talking about the carpet cleaning and general cleaning. As we know, some of the questions have arisen that it's kind of like not very clear. Do you charge clean carpet cleaning after the carpet is going to be replaced, or do you not charge knowing the carpet is going to be replaced? So I hope that this handout will clear out some of those questions. Definitely do go over it, that way you are sure. But if you still have any questions, you can always reach out to us. Okay.
And just to touch base a little bit on that, you want to make sure, I mean, the pricing, these charges, potential charges are there for you to use. So if you're not sure, I mean, I think everybody pretty much knows what your vendor is going to charge you to replace the carpet. If the amount that's on that charge list is not, you want to use whatever is less, whatever is less. So, and you want to make sure that you're using, if your invoice is accurate, you know, if you know what your vendor's going to charge you, go ahead and put what your vendor's going to charge you. Even if you don't have that bill yet, just put what they're going to charge for that size unit. If something changes down between the time that person moved out, before that vendor gets there, and something changed, you're not going to replace the carpet, but you're going to clean it. You can always reach out to your tenant receivable and have them change it. Send them an email. You know, this didn't happen. We need to go back and change it on the charges. They have no problems doing that as long as you put it in an email, let them know so they can go ahead and do it. And as well, you can send, I mean, if you already send your charge out, your charge letter to the resident, the balance due letter, you could always send them another one saying, oh, you know, the amount changed. You owe more, you owe less, or whatever it is. As long as you notify them, then it's legal.
On the next end is the move-out pain calculator, which a lot of you are very familiar with it. We are, as property managers, you know, have used this in the past. As we have decided that 3 years would be the life expectancy of full paint in an apartment. And the way it shows right here on your sheet of paper is that you would want to fill in the resident name, unit number. You want to put the last time the apartment was painted. Now, one of the things that we want to make clear is that if the apartment was painted in January, but we didn't move a resident until March, we have to take into account the date the apartment was painted, and we have to include it from then until the move-out day of the person that has recently moved out. Just because, you know, the apartment was vacant, you know, it was painted, it was in great condition, so we want to include those 2 months that even though the apartment was vacant, it was painted from that day on. As you can see, you will have whether your vendor provided you with the price sheet already or you're using the one that we have on the checklist, you will put the paint unit full cost on that section where it says cost. And then you want to make sure that if your person moved out on September 15th, we only account for full months. So you're not going to put 0.5 of a month. You're not going to put 15 days. You want to include the full whole month. So you would want to include the whole September month. So this is like a prorate. I love this sheet because, you know, it basically gives you cost per month of a paint if it's needed, and just a prorate, you know, because this is the most accurate information we can use on our move-out calculators. And this is something we can bring to court in case somebody, you know, questions it, and we say, well, this person was here this time. This is the full paint cost, and so you guys know that we are charging only a prorate. You would want to send this copy to the accounting on your full packet with the move-out calculator, and you want to leave a copy on the residence file.
So now the move-out carpet and vinyl calculator, same form we've been using all this time. It applies the same as the paint calculator. Carpet and vinyl, 7 years. That's what we decided that it should last. If people take care of their carpet, it should last that. I mean, I've seen carpets last 10 years or more than 10 years. So we definitely want to make sure that we hold our residents accountable for maintaining and taking care of our carpets. Same thing as Sandra said on the paint calculator. If that carpet has been was replaced in May and that person isn't moving until August, you're definitely going to use that date from May when you're using the vinyl or carpet calculator. Just to be fair and for it to be a consistent date, we just want to make sure that we're using that date because that's what we're going to find in our general ledger. And analytics, you'll find in general letter, you want to go by that date that carpet was charged so that we can be fair and consistent throughout the portfolio.
We had a question from Carolyn. She asked, what about vinyl? Can we replace it as well after 7 years?
I believe that we need to see the condition of it. If the condition is good, why would we replace it? I mean, if there's no tears, if there's no damage.
Yeah, if there's no damage or visual damage, you're gonna have to pretty much keep it until we pretty much need to. But what it is that you want to reference back to your grade sheet when the preventative maintenance was there. So you got to see if they have rated a 3 or above, and if that's the case, I mean, we want to make that decision because you want to take advantage when the unit is vacant, and you want to make sure that you're being as effective as you can. Now, obviously, if there's a trip hazard, you want to take care of it immediately. However, if the vinyl works pretty good still and it's not rated bad on the grade sheet, then you want to make sure you save it. But if that's the case the other way, then you want to replace it. Does that work?
I think we're good.
Did that answer the question, Caroline?
Okay, so we want to introduce the assignment now. The assignment will require you guys about 30 to 40 minutes. Basically, it's 3 scenarios, which will take 10 to 12 minutes per scenario, mostly. The assignment here we're going to provide is to calculate the charges to be billed or the refund and explain your rationale for your decision. You will not be entering the seniority or writing practice letters to the residents on this scenario. So it's mostly just for fun, and we definitely want to create this thought process and see what your thought process would be whenever we provide you a scenario and see what the move-out calculator charges would look like.
And we know there's going to be questions. I mean, these are not like super detailed scenarios where it's going to tell you step by step what you need to charge. We want you to kind of think and, what would you do in the scenario? So if we know there is some stuff missing that you would probably not be missing from a regular move out, but this is, like Sandra said, we wanted to see what your thought process is if you had a move out like this. What would you charge?
At this point, we're going to pretty much read out the scenarios. I'll start with this one. The first one is going to be a full notice move out. Basically, I'm going to just read it out, the scenario exactly how it is so you guys can, visualize it. This says, Carlos has been renting his 1-bedroom unit for 2 years. He gave an appropriate 30-day notice. Carlos' security deposit was $200, and he received a move-in concession of $200 and has a current rent of $550. Carlos is leaving the unit in reasonably good condition and does not require extra cleaning. No items are missing. There is, however, one large 12 by 12 hole in the living room drywall. The carpet needs shampooing. Okay? Next.
Scenario B, resident skips. No notice, but does not break lease. Jane's security deposit was $250. She's been renting a 2-bedroom unit for 3.5 years. Pays rent of $699 and is currently month to month. Jane's carpet was new at move-in, now needs to be replaced in 2 of the rooms. 3 pieces of furniture were left behind. The lower door of the refrigerator has been badly scratched, possibly from a wheelchair or a walker.
And it gets more difficult now. Scenario C, resident moved to convalescent facility directly from hospital. Julia had resided in her $599 1-bedroom unit for 18 months out of her 24-month lease. An out-of-state family member has phoned and emailed to give Julia 30-day notice. She wants to learn what needs to be done. Condition of unit at move-out is basically good, with some carpet cleaning, paint, and minor cleaning needed. It is noted that Julia was a borderline hoarder. As it turns out, Julia must be transferred to a convalescent facility before the end of her lease. She is moved to a convalescent facility directly from the hospital, but prior to the expiration of notice. Just a few points to reinforce. We definitely want you guys to use the tools and forms we have provided. Some of the information about the move-out could be missing, like Lucy had explained previously, but we want to see your rationale and your experience with this. What we're going to do is we plan on having some ranges of dollar amount that we would normally charge depending on each scenario. That way we could see if you guys fall within the range we pre came up with. The goal is to not overcharge or undercharge either. You want to be fair. We want to be consistent among our portfolio. We want you guys to work together also, and encourage you all to just work together within your own team. However, we don't want you to discuss this with other property managers because we want your own individual input.
So definitely get your maintenance guys involved in your process. Managers, show them what you guys do when somebody moves out, and you know how it's not easy sometimes to create these charges, and we definitely want to make it easier for you guys. So that's why we brought up all these tools. Della will definitely send you an email with the link to the webinar along with the scenarios worksheet. So wait for that. She will be sending that shortly. And thank you for participating, and hopefully we didn't do too bad on our first webinar.
I think they did a great job. Send emails and thank Lucy and Sandra for stepping up and helping with this. We also had some great input from Dory, and we're going to hear from Dory a little bit on next week's webinar. So what we encourage, I'm sending out again a copy of the link to the webinar so you can watch it again, listen to it again. The PowerPoint presentation and the worksheets that you're going to print out, write in your rationale, answer the questions, come up with your calculations. And then the district managers and area managers have asked that you send those hard copies back via a courier pigeon or actual courier, or drop them off. And if you could send them to my attention, send them to Della, so that we have them in one location. We'll get together and go through them and to prepare for our webinar next Thursday. So I think we had a question. If you sent in a question, and we encourage you to ask questions if something wasn't clear, send those to us. We'll answer them back in email, and we'll address some of them next week also. So read through these documents, understand, let us know if there's anything we missed. And I want to thank everyone for their participation in this. Audrey, thanks again for doing great work. And for Aaron's help as our technology expert, and Sandra and Lucy, and of course the DMs for lending their support and expertise. So we look forward to doing many more of these. We're also going to, you know, as we do these trainings, the PowerPoint will be loaded into PolicyTech, so you have something you can refer back to, as well as all the documents.
All right, we do have one question. Somebody asked, when are these assignments due? So.
They are due Tuesday by end of day, so that we have Wednesday to accumulate all the information, come up with our ranges. So you have today through Tuesday. If you can get them back to us by Tuesday, that would be great.
And definitely you want to keep a copy of your own findings, so that way you can reference back to when we do our second webinar.
Okay. Also, when you send them back, please, we didn't on the worksheet. Actually, I'll go in and add it. A place for you to put your name and the property and the people on your team who helped come up with those calculations. So I'll add that information so that we want to record those as well. And again, you know, this is a learning experience, so no one's going to grade you on how well or if you didn't do so well in these. Do the best you can, and just remember, this is for learning purposes. And sometimes we learn best by, you know, things we don't know, and we point them out and raise our hands. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
For a great webinar.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next week.